In the heart of Uganda, nestled among rolling green hills and alongside a meandering river, lay the small village of Bukoma. It was a close-knit community where everyone knew each other, and life moved to the rhythm of nature. In this picturesque setting lived a remarkable woman named Maimuna. Maimuna was known far and wide for her kindness and generosity. Her warm smile and gentle demeanor endeared her to everyone in the village. No task was too small or too great for her to help with. Whether it was helping a neighbor with their harvest, tending to the sick, or teaching the village children to read and write, Maimuna did it all with a joyful heart. One day, a stranger arrived in Bukoma. He was a tall, strong man named Mukolotsi, hailing from a distant village. He had come to Bukoma seeking better opportunities and to find a sense of belonging. Mukolotsi was captivated by the beauty of the village, but it was Maimuna's kindness that truly stole his heart. The villagers watched as a friendship blossomed between them, and soon, it was clear that they were meant to be together. Maimuna and Mukolotsi's wedding was a grand celebration that brought joy and unity to Bukoma. The couple built a humble home where they lived peacefully, surrounded by the love and warmth of their community. Over the years, their family grew with the arrival of 4 children, 2 boys named Keto and Woswa, and 2 girls named Nokoto and Nomotsi. Life was not always easy, but Maimuna's hard work and determination brought prosperity to her family. She was up before the sun, tending to their crops and livestock. She was always seeking new ways to improve their farm and provide for her children. Mukolotsi supported her in every endeavor, working alongside her with unwavering dedication. Their combined efforts bore fruit, and soon they were able to buy more land. This new land expanded their farm, and they began to cultivate more crops and raise more animals. The farm thrived, and Maimuna's vision and hard work transformed it into one of the most prosperous in the region. The success of their farm not only brought wealth to their family but also provided employment and support to many villagers. Maimuna's kindness extended beyond her family. She used their newfound prosperity to give back to the community. She started a small school in Bukoma, ensuring that every child had the opportunity to learn. She organized health camps, bringing in doctors to care for those who could not afford medical treatment. Her home became a refuge for the needy, a place where anyone could find help and support. Years passed, and Maimuna and Mukolotsi grew old together, watching their children grow into strong and kind-hearted adults. Keto and Woswa took over the responsibilities of the farm, expanding it even further. Nokoto became a teacher at the village school, inspired by her mother's dedication to education, and Nomotsi became a nurse, caring for the health of their community. The village of Bukoma thrived, forever grateful for the woman whose heart was as boundless as the Ugandan sky. As the years passed, Mukolotsi started to entertain the idea of taking another wife, a common practice in their culture. "You are more than enough for me, and our family is whole with you." When Maimuna arrived in her childhood village, she was greeted warmly by her stepmother and stepsister, Nangogolo. Over the years, Nangogolo had blossomed into a beautiful and graceful young woman. As they spent time together, Maimuna couldn't help but notice Nangogolo's gentle nature and hardworking spirit, qualities that she knew Mukolotsi would appreciate. Maimuna's days in the village were filled with deep reflection and heartfelt conversations with her stepmother. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Maimuna gathered her courage and spoke from her heart. "Mother," she began, her voice tinged with emotion, "I have worked hard to build our family's prosperity alongside Mukolotsi. I love him dearly, and the thought of another woman taking my place in his heart troubles me deeply. However, I understand our customs and the path he wishes to take. I have a humble request. Let Nangogolo come with me and be Mukolotsi's second wife. I trust her, and I know she will uphold the harmony and love within our family." Her stepmother listened attentively, understanding the weight of Maimuna's words. She saw the sincerity and the depth of Maimuna's love and concern for her family. After a moment of contemplation, she placed a reassuring hand on Maimuna's shoulder. "My dear Maimuna," she said softly, "your heart is pure and your intentions noble. Nangogalo has always admired you and looked up to you. If she agrees, I will support your decision. Let us talk to her together." That night, they called Nangogalo to join them by the fire. Maimuna gently explained the situation, expressing her love for Mukolotsi and her desire to keep their family strong and united. Nangogalo, though initially surprised, listened with a calm and thoughtful expression. "Sister Maimuna," Nangogalo replied, "I have always admired your strength and kindness. If you believe that my joining your family will bring happiness and harmony, I will do it. I promise to honor and respect you and Mukolotsi, and to care for the family you have built with so much love." With her heart lighter, Maimuna embraced Nangogalo and her stepmother. The next morning, they set off for Bukoma together, Maimuna filled with hope and determination. When they arrived, Mukolotsi was both surprised and moved by Maimuna's decision. Maimuna explained her proposal, and Mukolotsi, seeing the wisdom and love behind her actions, agreed. The village of Bukoma buzzed with the news, and preparations for a second wedding began. The wedding of Mukolotsi and Nangogalo was a grand affair, filled with joy and celebration. The villagers admired Maimuna's strength and selflessness, and Nangogalo quickly became a beloved member of the community. She and Maimuna worked side by side, continuing to bring prosperity and happiness to their family. When Nangogalo arrived in Mukolotsi and Maimuna's home, she was initially filled with hope and gratitude. However, as days turned into months, she couldn't help but notice the deep love and care Mukolotsi had for Maimuna and their children. Despite the warmth and acceptance from Maimuna, Nangogalo began to feel a growing sense of jealousy. She longed to have children of her own, believing that this would solidify her place in the family. Desperate to conceive, Nangogalo started taking various herbs and remedies in the hope of becoming pregnant quickly. But luck was not on her side. 2 years passed, and despite her efforts, she remained childless. Frustration and envy festered within her, and she began to harbor dark thoughts. Driven by her increasing desperation, Nangogalo started making malicious rumors within the village. She whispered to anyone who would listen that Maimuna was a witch, and that she was using dark magic to prevent her from having children. These rumors spread like wildfire, casting a shadow over Maimuna's once sterling reputation. The villagers, who had always admired Maimuna for her kindness and generosity, were now filled with suspicion and doubt. Whispers followed Maimuna wherever she went, and the warm smiles she once received were replaced with wary glances. Maimuna, hurt and bewildered by the sudden change in the villagers' behavior, couldn't understand what had gone wrong. Mukolotsi, sensing the tension, confronted Nangogalo. "Why are there such terrible rumors about Maimuna? Do you know anything about this?" Nangogalo feigned innocence, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know, Mukolotsi. All I want is to have a child of my own. Maybe there is some truth to what the villagers are saying. Maybe Maimuna's presence is preventing me from conceiving." Mukolotsi, torn between his love for Maimuna and the distress of Nangogalo, decided to seek the counsel of the village elders. He explained the situation, hoping they could offer wisdom and guidance. The elders, wise and experienced, decided to visit Maimuna and hear her side of the story. When the elders arrived at Maimuna's home, they found her in the garden, tending to the crops with her usual dedication. Maimuna welcomed them, offering them water and food. The elders explained the rumors that had been spreading and asked Maimuna to address the accusations. Maimuna, with tears in her eyes, spoke from her heart. "I have always loved and cared for this family and this village. I would never harm anyone, least of all Nangogalo. I welcomed her into our home, hoping to build a strong and united family. These accusations are baseless and hurtful." The sincerity in Maimuna's voice touched the elders. They knew her character well and found it hard to believe she could be capable of such malice. The elders decided to investigate further, speaking to other villagers and gathering more information. One fateful day, Maimuna Kilsamore decided to visit her stepmother. As she walked into the compound, her stepmother, filled with bitterness, shouted, "Witch! What do you want?" Maimuna, ever gentle and patient, knelt down before her stepmother and said, "All I want is for all of us to be happy. It is Allah who is in control of our fate." Despite her heartfelt words, it was clear that the stepmother's animosity was deeply rooted. Maimuna spent the night there, hoping to mend the rift. The next morning, breakfast was served, and her stepmother called to her sweetly, "My daughter, come and eat." Maimuna, with her good nature, couldn't refuse. She drank the tea her stepmother had prepared, but as she finished, she started to feel unwell. She began sweating and vomiting, crying out, "What's happening to me?" She ran out of the house, collapsing in the yard. Neighbors spotted her distress and rushed over, quickly taking her to the hospital. Tragically, it was too late. Maimuna passed away shortly after arriving at the hospital. The doctors confirmed that she had been poisoned. The news devastated Mukolotsi and their children. They rushed to the hospital, grief-stricken, demanding to know who had done this to their beloved Maimuna. Driven by sorrow and anger, they ran to the stepmother's house. They found her walking in the garden, pretending as if nothing had happened. Mukolotsi and the children confronted her, and in their search for answers, they found the food Maimuna had eaten. They gave some of it to the cat in the yard. Within moments, the cat convulsed and died. Realizing the truth, Mukolotsi and the children were overcome with grief and anger. The neighbors, who had followed to support them, were horrified. They demanded justice for Maimuna. The village elders were called to mediate. In the days that followed, the village of Bukoma mourned the loss of Maimuna. A large funeral was held, attended by everyone whose lives she had touched. Mukolotsi and his children vowed to carry on her legacy of kindness and generosity. They turned their grief into action, establishing a foundation in Maimuna's name to support education and healthcare in the village. As the truth about Maimuna's poisoning became clear, Keto and Waswa were consumed with rage. They could not comprehend how their own grandmother could commit such a heinous act. Overcome by their emotions, they stormed towards her, intent on confronting her for her crime. But their grandmother, sensing the danger, managed to escape and flee into the wilderness. She disappeared without a trace, and despite their best efforts to find her, no one ever heard from her again. Back at home, the atmosphere was tense and filled with sorrow. Mukolotsi, devastated by the loss of his beloved wife and the betrayal that had taken place within his own home, made a difficult decision. He called Nangogolo to him, his face stern and resolute. "Nangogolo," he began, "your actions have brought great pain and suffering to this family. You came into our home as a sister, but your jealousy and deceit have torn us apart. I cannot allow this to continue. You must leave. Our marriage is over." Nangogolo, realizing the gravity of her actions and the irreversible damage she had caused, wept bitterly. She knew she had no defense and that she had lost the trust and love of the family she once wanted to be a part of. She packed her belongings and left Bukoma, her departure a quiet but profound moment for the village. With Nangogolo gone and their grandmother vanished, Mukolotsi and his children were left to pick up the pieces. The village, having witnessed the depth of Maimuna's love and the tragedy of her loss, rallied around the family. They offered support and comfort, helping them through their grief. Keto and Waswa, driven by their mother's legacy, threw themselves into continuing the work Maimuna had started. They expanded the farm, ensuring it remained prosperous, and devoted time to the school and clinic established in her name. Nakoto and Namotsi, inspired by their mother's dedication, took on roles as educators and healthcare providers, ensuring that Maimuna's vision of a thriving, educated, and healthy community was realized. Mokolotsi, though heartbroken, found solace in his children and the community's resilience. He dedicated himself to ensuring that Maimuna's memory was honored in every way possible. He led initiatives to promote unity and cooperation within the village, turning their shared sorrow into collective strength. Years passed, and the story of Maimuna, her kindness, and the tragic end of her life became a powerful legend in Bukoma. The village, once marred by suspicion and jealousy, transformed into a beacon of hope and unity. Maimuna's legacy of love and generosity continued to inspire generations, teaching them the values of compassion, hard work, and the importance of family. As Keto, Woswa, Nokoto, and Nomotsi grew older, they often gathered their children and grandchildren to tell them the story of their grandmother, Maimuna.